the teams that have gotten ahead of us. So all of that said, I thought today would be a good day. I know there's lots of questions, as there generally are when a team isn't at the level that everybody expects, and I think it's on me to come out and answer them, because in the end the responsibility falls for me to chart the course of where we're at and where we're going. And I think we can get going in that direction if we just adhere to the number one rule of holes, which is when you're in one, stop digging. So with that said, I'll turn it over for any questions anyone may have, and fire away, please.
Josh, on the right.
Go ahead, Josh.
Kyle, I think anytime when a team's record isn't what maybe it's expected to be, especially the fan base, there's a lot of anger directed toward the coaching staff and questions about the coaching staff. I'm curious if you could analyze the job you think the staff has done, and if you think their message is being delivered properly and being received by the players right now.
Yeah, I think it's for one. I think, especially of late, my first couple of years in the league, I never really felt that way. That as soon as things started to, as soon as a team didn't play to its potential, it seemed like now it seems that right away the focus shifts to coaching, and I think. I'm not sure why exactly that change has happened, whether it's social media or just greater focus on coaching or what have you. But what I would say to that is, number one, with Sully, and I mean, I had my impression of him coming in and my respect for him coming in, being with him every day, and not only seeing his attention to detail on the systems, but his attention to detail with the players and coaching them individually and personally. I think we're very fortunate to have Mike. And so do I think that he's the right person for this job now and far into the future? I absolutely do. It's on me to continue to help support the coaching staff as best I can, and help us get us going in the right direction. And I think the thing that's been encouraging for me with the coaching staff is they're not transfixed by their own systems or what worked in the years that the club won. They know that we have to continue to adapt, and they're trying to every single day, every hour of the day, find those, and they're not beholden to what worked in the past. They're trying to figure out what's going to work moving ahead. So that to me has been the most encouraging part. And like any team that's in this spot, we have to continue to find our way out of it. And I'm certain that Sully's the best person to help us in that regard.
It's been a month to the day since the power play has scored a goal. Just what has been your view of what hasn't been working and what needs to change?
I think that the power play has been a major focus, not only of fans and media as it should be, but every day internally. And I think especially when, in my experience, when a power play struggles, it's the heaviest feeling that you can have. I think you come into the rink and you get one revolution, and as soon as it doesn't work to the exact way that you want it to, especially when you're at home, you feel the angst that goes with it. I think that the players that we have and the coaching staff that we have are far too good not to solve our way out of it. And I think that when we do come out of it with the personnel and you see them now, all of them, I think that's the one respective place where the players have been, they know what's worked for them in the past on the power play, and that hasn't worked here of late. So I think in this past number of practices in particular hasn't manifested itself in games. But in particular in practice, they're more open to doing things that aren't particularly common for them in their games as they try to find their way out of it. And that for me has been the most encouraging part. It doesn't mean that tomorrow night we're suddenly going to come out and light the world on fire, because I think especially when you're at that stage, it's a process of earning your way out of it and building a new confidence in the way that things run and continually trying new things. We haven't continued to try to do the same thing over and over, but we have to start to build a consistency in terms of what we want in the power play. And obviously, it's on top of mind for everybody, and it takes up a lot of bandwidth right now, and that's because it hasn't been near at the level that we want to be, especially as you mentioned, Taylor, in the last month. And if we can get that part of our game rolling and sustain the other parts of it, I think we'll have a good run of success and pull our way out of it. But everyone's focus is on that.
A few weeks ago, Ryan Graves indicated he felt there could be area for improvement in his game. He was your largest free agent signing this past offseason. Just what's been your observation of what Ryan's provided so far 2 months into the season?
Well, I think with Ryan, in going back and studying his careers, he's transitioned from different places. He was in the Rangers organization, went to Colorado, and then from Colorado to New Jersey. He's always been someone that, when he's gone there, has taken a little bit of time to get rolling. I think for me and for us with Ryan, you know what you're getting. He's going to clear the net front and be able to kill penalties. And for us, I think it's just continue to encourage him to get in motion with the puck and not do everything from a standstill with the puck, and continue to build his confidence that way, and start to integrate himself more deeply into the team, which I think takes time. And I think it's not just he, in terms of the new players that have come in that have had their ups and downs. It's been a lot of the guys, and I think that's on us as an organization to continue to push them to get to the level that we all saw on film, and we've got experience watching that from when they came in, Seth. So it's never going to be. I'd love it if every time we sign a new player in, it goes very smoothly and the transition's easy. I think a lot of it's on them, but a lot of it's on myself, the coaching staff, to continue to get them back up to the level that they were at. And I think of late, in the last couple of games with Ryan in particular, I've started to see some of those steps. They're subtle and they're small, but with his game, that's the way that they're going to be. He's never going to be a guy that we expect to go end to end and create a ton of offense. It's going to be the small, subtle defensive things, his spacing, killing plays with his stick, and making stops and getting the puck going the other way. That's all we expect from him.
Matt?
Kyle, sticking with the blue line, you had 9 defensemen out there on the ice for practice with Chad and P.O. potentially coming back soon. Like, how do you see all that sorting out, and what have you thought about all these different guys you've had to use there?
We'll put Dmitry Samorukov on waivers today at 2. And I just think, he had earned as he came in on an American League deal in training camp, went down to Wilkes-Barre and was clearly the guy that unanimously Eric Heasley and J.D. Force and the staff felt was the best down there. So we converted his contract to an NHL deal, brought him in. He, with Ludwig coming back at the same time, it gave us a run with Ludwig and Shea in the third pair. So with P.O. having completed his assignment, P.O. will integrate himself back in. Chad, it'll be touch and go with how close he is, but we'll let Samorukov, we'll put him on today if he clears, get him back up, and they play Syracuse on Wednesday, and let him continue to build that momentum that he had in the first part. So that'll get us back down to 8 in practice, and we'd like for one of those guys in that, whether it's P.O., Chad, Ryan Shea, or John Ludwig, to really take hold of it and run with it. That's what we're waiting for with a lot of our depth guys right now. The opportunity is massive, and somebody has to run with it. Otherwise, we have to continue to search for the players that will.
Wes?
Kyle, Mike just let us know that Brian Rust will be out week to week. Through the first part of the season, you guys were relatively healthy, and then a rash of injuries comes. That happens to almost every team. But in your case, how well equipped do you think that you guys are to survive a Brian Rust, Ricard Raquel, those types of guys that are out longer term?
Yeah, I don't think injuries can be any type of excuse. So, even though we've had, every team in the league has injuries. I mean, Florida was missing 2 of their top 3 defensemen for the first month and a half of the season. It didn't affect them. You can't let it affect you. And I think, when I think back to the teams here that were, in the last number of years, we came in here at times and they would be missing Sid, Gino, Chris, and it would have no real impact. You knew that they were going to play hard, and for me, the injuries are an opportunity for guys to take it. The guys who've always wanted opportunity, who came here for the opportunity, they have to run with it. This is their chance, and so we want guys to run right through the door and take it and go. Are we well equipped? I think that the players are going to tell us that here in this coming stretch. And if they don't pull through, then that's on me. Then we haven't found the right mix of guys to take advantage of it. But if we have a depth issue, that falls onto my shoulders and should be held against me more than anybody else. So I'm excited for the guys here that are in those opportunities to take advantage of it and roll with it. But and if they don't, then it's up to me to act and try to find us other guys who can.
Nick in the back row.
Kyle, with bringing in Jesse Pulkkinen, how long of a process was it for you? Was it a spur-of-the-moment decision, or have you guys kind of had your eyes on him? And what kind of impact could he make on this team if he signs a real deal?
Well, I mean, I think because of his draft pedigree, are all familiar with him for a long time. For what I think with Jesse, obviously he's had a very significant operation, and so that takes time to come back from. It's going to be a process here day to day to make sure that we're putting him in the best position, so when we do make a decision on him, that he's ready, he's able to withstand the rigors of a season every day without having further hip issues. At his best, I think what we would expect from him is that I'm not looking at him to come in and provide massive offense. He's shown that he can play up with top players, and particularly in Edmonton in the past. But for me, it's his forechecking ability to get on the forecheck, get to the net, disrupt the defense of the other team when they're going back on the puck, and then get to the net and really start to get under the skin of people. That's when I think he's at his best. He's got great range, but he's also very strong. And when he was at his best, I felt, particularly in Edmonton, if you go back to 2020, 2021, that's what he was doing. Physical forecheck, use his pace to get and reach to get up the ice, break up there, break out, and then get to the net and roll from there. I think offense will come from that. I don't think it's going to be massive amounts, but we would just hope to give him an opportunity here if he proves healthy enough where he can help out. It goes back to the question from Wes about the depth and trying to find more avenues to find it.
A few more, go ahead, Dave.
Kyle, with so many new players coming to the team, what do you think of the chemistry, maybe especially with Erik Carlson, that they've been able to develop so far?
I think chemistry is, it's always an interesting dynamic within a professional sports team. I think when a team does really well, people say it's because of the chemistry. When a team does pretty well, that they haven't gelled yet. When we won those 5 games in a row, it was, they're really coming together. Now we've struggled, and it's maybe they haven't gelled. I don't know is probably the blunt answer to the equation. What I can tell you about Erik is, Erik, in my view, has been a great addition on spurring conversation about how we can continue to evolve and change. He doesn't truly accept status quo in his own game or in others as the way that we should go about things, and especially when he views his role on the power play. He's the quarterback of it, so he takes that very seriously. He's not afraid to directly talk to players about the way that it's going, and I think that for me is very refreshing. For a guy, it'd be easy. The thing I've seen here is that it's easy, I think, for some players to be intimidated by and rightfully so, by some of the presence and pedigree of the people that we have that have won 3 championships here, 2 or 3 championships here. Erik comes in and he's very respectful. He's obviously very great energy, very gregarious and inquisitive, but he'll also push. And so to me, I think that is, especially when we're at the spot we're at right now, you need that. You need people that are going to ask tough questions, that are going to push the group ahead. And Erik, to me, has helped that immensely. And obviously, we need that to pay off on the ice for people outside the room every day to really appreciate it and see it. But that's on us to do that and tell that story then.
Kyle, your team is an ironic team in some ways because you talk about the DNA of the Penguins being high scoring, and yet at times it seems like you can't get that next goal to get over the hump in games, and the power play hasn't performed up to the level that you would think it would. And I just wonder as a GM and a guy who was a GM of another team that had a lot of great players, offensive players, how do you sort of maintain some objective view of it when things aren't going the way everybody would have assumed it would go, and yet there are other things about your team that are going maybe better than people would have thought they would?
I think that's just the job, Staggy. I mean, if it's never going to go exactly as you plan it out in the summer, or exactly as it's supposed to go when people paint a very rosy, optimistic picture start season, or the opposite when it's it's the opposite view going into the other. You're not going to be very good. It never goes precisely as planned, and when you hit the bumps in the road or the waves that come towards you as the year goes on, it's up to the person in my role here or elsewhere to bring up those items that you suggest, like different objective measures that show that everything isn't going as good or bad, depending on how it goes, as would be indicated. And then at the same time, nobody outside of our walls cares about what the underlying stuff says one way or the other. If we're winning and our underlying objective numbers are horrible, no one cares. The fans want us to win. If we're losing and everything says how great we are beneath the surface, nobody outside of our building cares. You have to go out and execute, and you have to stick with it. And all of that on the outside is right. In the end, we have to commit to a process that's going to lead us to win games, or we have to change our course. And in my role here, I think no one really wants to hear about the underlying stuff about the even strength play or even the power play and things of that nature. They want to see execution on the ice, and they want to see us convert on the ice and deliver wins for the fans in Pittsburgh, which is really all we care about here. And you all hold us accountable to that with your daily attendance and questions. But we have to go out and execute, and it's on me to, regardless of how it's going, to provide that accountability internally and keep us moving in the right direction internally.
Last one, Rob.
Kyle, last week on Josh Getzoff's show, you said a few things. One of them was you called the game in Tampa massive, and I think maybe I'm not quoting directly, but dictate the course of how we go in the second half. You mentioned the stretch that you're on now earlier. What is the, in your mind, sort of timeline of when you have to make a hard decision, about what's possible for this season?
I'll first on the. I didn't go back and so I don't know my exact quotes, but what I would have been inferring was that I think Josh's question was about the next 2 games in Tampa and Florida, and I said, yeah, obviously they're a team that we're even with and a team we're chasing in the standings. So we're on the road. We've just lost to Philly, which we were also chasing in the standings, and so yeah, these games are of massive importance. And I know that the Tampa folks felt the same way, but I wasn't trying to see what the response would be of the group. Otherwise, I would have just said it directly to our team. So if they came off like that was if they came off that wasn't my intention. With regards to my decision on the timeline, I think for me it's in this being new in the role, I have my expectations of the group now, and I have my responsibility in the long run. When it comes to how we're going to dictate our course, I'm going to give the players and the coaching staff as much time as possible. So I just by nature, I'm not going to make any decisions based on how we do this week or next week. When we get to through the All-Star break and on the other side of that, we'll have a better idea of what we are as a group and where we need to go. Are we close and need some help? Or do we need to have, and it's all sorted itself out the next time we convene, or do we need to have a deeper discussion about where we're at as a club? The time is going to tell us that, and that's how we'll dictate that. But it's not going to be anything in the short run, and us continuing to pull our way out of where we're at right now is on all of us internally. It's on me, it's on the coaching staff, and it's on the players. And I'm excited to see how we go about it here starting tomorrow night. Okay, thanks everybody.